So I'm going to be pretty vulnerable in this video as I read out my personal statement and describe my journey to medicine, as well as give some tips about writing this personal statement. Although this is my medicine personal statement, I use variations of these to apply to SMU Law, as well as NTU's double major in Biological Sciences and Biobusiness, with the intention of getting onto the Duke NUS pathway, so hopefully this can still help out other people. But please, a huge disclaimer to start, please do not think of this as some good personal statement. All I did was answer the most honestly as I could for the prompt, why medicine? Alright, and with that, let's begin. Hi, my name is Jeremiah, a first-year medical student at the National University of Singapore. As a child, my ambition towards medicine was predicated in admiration, in reverence to the nobility of the field. Among the characteristics that define the doctor I aspire to be, nothing supersedes compassion, the heartbeat of the medical field. I discovered the role of compassion during a medical observership whereby a doctor was advising a distraught family to restrain their father following his forceful NG tube removal. Their tears began to dry only after the doctor instinctively moved to reassure and comfort, promising dedication towards their father's care. This display of going the extra mile made me reflect on the limitations of medical knowledge devoid of humanity as I contemplated the sense of duty that accompanied the simple spoken words. This inspired me to emulate compassion in my guidebook project to share cancer survivor stories to new patients. I felt privileged to be entrusted with emotional stories of eating and walking struggles and empathize with their pain, remembering the vulnerability of my grandfather who passed on gliosarcoma. As I learned more of their story, I was struck by the paramount role the medical team played in motivating them to continue fighting, lifting their spirits during tough treatments. This connection to humanity is the area of medicine I'm drawn to, going through a personal journey with another, seeking to cure but always devoted to comfort and relief. I'm excited to further explore this connection through the Health and Humanity elective at NUS Medicine. To understand medicine in a multifaceted view, I embarked on elderly befriended programs for chronic disease prevention. I was humbled by the difficult dilemmas of guiding diabetic seniors to healthier foods amidst their limiting socio-economic factors. As I tirelessly explored alternatives for the seniors, I internalized the important doctor-patient relationship whereby a good doctor must know their patients beyond their diagnosis, caring for them as a whole. I drew similarities with my volunteer tutoring of underprivileged children. There was a boy who, because of his family, was very shy in lessons, and only through patient and persistent engagements with him and his family did his personality start to shine through. Despite the difficult situations, both experiences have allowed me to view the servitude of another beyond a single dimension that limits the scope of care. Having spoken to many doctors and students, I understand that the journey ahead can be challenging, emphasizing the need for work-life balance. I find great joy in music and videography, having shared my work on personal platforms. Alongside my leadership roles, they've trained my organizational skills and ability to work under pressure. I intend to be actively involved with school events like health screenings as they allow me to build support networks while appreciating the real-world impact of the knowledge I learned. My experiences reaffirm my decision for medicine as I look forward to the science of empathy, the art of aid that encapsulates the responsibility of the profession. I'm deeply intrigued by the rewarding commitment and a lifetime's promise to servitude. Alright, and let's get down to the actual tips on how do you write a personal statement, because I understand it's so difficult to be looking at a blank piece of paper and just trying to start from scratch. So the first and biggest advice I have is write a story for every single experience you've had. So start by listing down everything. Any leadership positions, volunteering, research, community service, anything you've ever done, list them down first. Then you continue by listing down a memorable event for each one of these activities that you've done. Whether it's a particular instance that forced you to step up as a leader, or this community project you're very passionate about and you brought it to a community that you really care about, try to make this as detailed as possible. Fully write out your emotions and reflections. Talk about the lessons you've learned, how it has made you a better person, and more importantly, how you're going to use these lessons that you've learned and bring it to the course that you want, or bring it to the future. After this, extract one or two qualities from these stories to highlight. If it was a community service event that you led, talk about it as compassion and leadership. Now this is important because every single course you apply for has certain qualities that they're looking out for. If you're applying for something like medicine, it'll be empathy, compassion, leadership, or campus accommodation, teamwork, and being kind. So matching these qualities to the course that you're looking out for makes the whole process very simple to decide what stories to pick. After you have this master list, comes the most difficult part of writing this personal statement. And I know as cliche as people sound, it's really to reflect on why you're applying to that course. Now this is a very crucial step because you want to present a holistic picture that best represents you in the most ideal world. The portfolio, personal statement, and you that you present should all merge seamlessly because it is talking about you. Using medicine as an example, if you're applying for it because you like community service, you like giving back, then your portfolio should showcase a lot of community service because that's what you're passionate about, that's what you're drawn to. In your personal statement, you maybe should talk about why community service means a lot to you. Why do you start community service? What lessons have you taken from it? And why you intend to continue community service in the future. Please, I know it's really cliche, but do reflect very hard on why you want to apply to these courses and how your stories showcase these reasons for applying to this course, because once these things are figured out, it's very seamless to write your personal statement. You just have to pick the stories from your master list that best represent those qualities and you just put it into a personal statement and bam, you have your reason for applying for that course. Now the next step is to piece everything together, and it's the magic behind this entire process. So now instead of working normally and staring at this blank piece of paper, you're working retrospectively, selecting specific stories that fit into your narrative. And then once you have everything together, you can start trimming down, which is a whole lot easier than writing from scratch. This way, it also takes away the pressure of needing to write that perfect introduction. Now I know introductions are usually quite scary because we think it needs to bang and it needs to have this appeal right off the bat, which is still somewhat true, but having that as the expectation for the first thing you write for this essay is really quite high. So I think starting off the middle is a lot easier. And once you have your middle sections done up and everything's linked, your intro and conclusion should come seamlessly too. And of course, the last step is to check, and check again. Now the advice that everyone gives is to submit it to 1 or 2 people, like trusted people, aka your teachers or close friends, and this is great. But trying to limit it to 2 or 3 people, because when there's too many people, their opinions will start to differ and you don't know who to choose. But the most important person you should be trusting is yourself. It's that gut feeling inside you. You do have to remember that everyone is guessing on what their admissions committee wants or what is the right way to write this personal statement. But if everyone is guessing, shouldn't the person that you trust the most is you? So just go with your gut feeling. Overall, this is a much more reflective way and intentional way of writing a personal statement, and I can't take credit for this method. I use this for my personal statement, but it's recommended to me by my poly teacher. I remember back when I was year 1, so this was in 2019, they already told us to start writing reflections for everything we've done, and I've stuck to it quite diligently, and when I wrote my personal statement, these stories, I could just pick and plug and put it into my personal statement. Remember that you can't just say I'm a compassionate person and then go, source, trust me bro. The interviewers or person reading your personal statement has never met you before, and they're using this as the first impression and only impression after getting the course, so try and support everything you've done with the stories that are well reflected on. If you're curious to see how my personal statement tied into my portfolio, you can click on this video here, which I go through my portfolio and talk about some of the stories behind each thing I've done. Thank you so much for watching, have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.